Hello. Do you have purpose amnesia? Are you looking for your firefly moment? It's Christine here with the Power of Healing Your Energy show. This is episode 47, and I have a beautiful certified life coach, purpose coach, firefly coach. I mean, when I heard the term firefly, I'm like, ooh, yeah, inner spark, shine your light. It's all within. All right, guys, are you ready? Let's get into it. Hello and welcome, everyone. My name's Christine. I'm with 24 Karat Healing. I'm your spiritual medium, intuitive energy coach, and old soul healer, also known as an empath. And today I have a beautiful, lovely guest. Her name is Denise. She is a certified professional coach, business strategist, corporate dropout, which I love. It's not just for high school anymore. Former workaholic, which I think a lot of us can resonate with. For the longest time, she spent her life making safe choices, doing the things she thought she should. Should, there's that word, right? Instead of following her heart. Because the heart knows, right? And she settled into corporate America and owning a family spa business. It nearly broke her. And I can definitely resonate with this. This happened to me as well in 2018. And I'm sure there's others of you nodding their head. Yeah. Even with, 3 months ago, what was going on, we could not sustain the pace of life. I wouldn't even call it a pace. I mean, who is setting the tone for this, right? So this is a time to breathe and go, who am I? Anyways, so she recovered from extreme burnout, and now she teaches women, to deeply reconnect with themselves and making, authentic decisions, clearing those mental blocks and clutter, creating joyful and fulfilling lives through her practice, the Firefly Moment. Welcome, Denise.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
So happy to have you. And where are you from? Because I'm in Edmonton. I always ask. In Canada, you're in?
I live in Carlsbad, California now, which is just north of San Diego.
San Diego. So must be nice around there right now.
We're having a bit of a heat wave. I'm using air because it might not be that hot for others, but for us, it's a little toasty over here.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, it seems like the seasons just went. I heard Colette Barron-Reid talk about this because she lives in Toronto. Yeah. It went from winter to summer. Within a day, it just went boom. So,
gee, where did 3 months go?
Exactly. Where did the 3 months go? So, I think of, I don't know how long have you been doing this? And I guess we'll ask that first and then I'll ask the next question.
So I've had my practice, the Firefly Moment, this coaching practice for 4 years now. But I actually first got into coaching, it was around 2003. Do you want me to tell you a little bit about that?
Sure, go for it. Yeah.
So back in around that time, I was actually working in corporate and I went through a really rough breakup and I was running into my ex on the streets of Manhattan everywhere. I mean, he lived a couple blocks from me. We were taking the subway to the same stop and getting off at the same stop. And it was just driving me mad. And I was like, I need to get out of here. I need to just get out of the city. And I don't know, have you ever heard of the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was like, I need to check out and see what Omega's doing this weekend. And they had something called the Shadow Process that weekend by the person who was my first coach. Her name was Debbie Ford. And she did a lot of shadow work. She's passed away since then, unfortunately. But anyway, I went up there and it completely changed my life. And so I actually had signed up to do a coach training program with her at that time. But as we got into the program, I was a marketing director at this magazine. And we had a big trade show that was coming up this one weekend. And it was the same weekend that the coach training program had its final in-person event that we had to go to. And I knew it was dicey, but I asked my boss anyway if I would be able to go. And he basically said that if I don't go to this trade show, then I don't have a job. So at that point, life took me in a different direction. And my coaching went on the back burner. And then now I'm launching into a bit of my history, but then I moved to Philadelphia, and my family and I, we had 2 spa businesses. And then about 10 years into that, it was 2015, I hit a wall, and I was just like, this is not it. I thought I'd be somewhere else at this point. And it's not that I hated it. It's not that, there weren't parts of it that I didn't enjoy, but I always felt like there was something else inside of me, something that I really was meant to be doing, and something that I was really just good at. It was just my thing. And this just wasn't it. And I knew that I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I wasn't happy. And so essentially, I basically pulled the plug on my life in Philadelphia. I sold my house. I gave up my stakes in the business. And I thought to myself, it's time for me to finally live my life, because per what you said in the introduction, it's true. It's like I took all the steps that I thought I should be taking. And then I was like, well, why am I not there yet? Why am I not happy and, feeling good about myself and my life? And so I thought, I've always wanted to live somewhere warm and by the ocean. So I vibed it out and I landed in San Diego. And then instead of falling back into a marketing job or a spa job, I was like, I need to figure out what my purpose is and really just get that started now. And then I fell back into coaching. I stumbled upon an old Word document randomly a couple of months in that was on this external hard drive. I'm very old school like that. I have this old hard drive that I've been backing laptops up to for decades. And so
Nice.
I know. So I don't even know what I was looking for on there, but then there was a Word document. It was called Career Options for Me. And it was from like 2004. And I don't remember this document at all. I actually thought it was my sister's. It must be hers. So I opened it more out of curiosity, like, what is this thing? But right away, it was very obvious 2 things. Number one, it was written in my voice. I could tell I had written it. And number 2, right at the top was coaching for women, creating events, doing writing, all the same things that were still floating around in my mind at that moment. And this was more than 10 years later. And so it was like a lightning bolt had hit me at that moment. And I realized I'm never not going to want to do these things. And so that's when I signed up for an official, like another coach training program, and I got my certification. And so I've been doing that, the Firefly Moment, my business, since actually it was just my 4-year anniversary, just on LinkedIn. I just found out because other people were like, hey, happy anniversary. I'm like, oh, really? Oh, okay.
Isn't that funny how that happens? No. Well, congratulations. That's amazing. 4 is my favorite number, by the way. But and that, that's interesting that you found it. That was spirit intervening. It was like, okay, remember who you are. Remember what you're here for. I just want to say hi to everyone who's here. Please let us know if this is your first time. Say hello. Don't be shy. I always want to know where everyone's from as well, but because this goes all over the world. And if you're on the replay, still interact, join, and share this out, guys. Terry is joining us. Hi, Terry. So nice to see you. And Oxygen. Hi. And she's coming off YouTube here, I believe. Just asking if this is related to spiritual awakening. Absolutely. Soul's purpose, your inner spark, your inner light, leading with your heart, all related. So if you have questions about that, feel free to ask. All right. Yeah, you just said you made safe choices. I think we all do that because, it starts, as soon as you come out of you're born into this world. All the programs and fears of your parents,
100%.
All of it gets downloaded onto us.
For sure. And, I read this quote a long time ago, and I believe it was by Robert Bly. And I'm paraphrasing here, but it was something along the lines of, for the first few years of our lives, we take different parts of ourselves and we shove it into this big bag, as our parents are like, no, you should do things this way. This is how you should behave. And then we spend the rest of our lives trying to pull those pieces back out of the bag again, trying to find those pieces of ourselves that we've shoved away. And that's that's kind of what happens. That somewhere along the line, I mean, Christina, you and I were talking about this just a moment ago, but I really also deeply believe that there's some sort of a special gift, some reason that we're here, that something we have to share with everybody. But oftentimes it's a no for us for whatever reason. Either we're afraid, maybe we were told at some point, there's no way you can do that, or we somehow just picked it up externally, like, oh, I can't do that. There's no way. I'm not cut out for that. Whatever it is, it's a no for us. But it's still there. It's still there sitting inside of us. And the interesting thing too is that a lot of times, whatever that gift is, we don't even realize that it's something special for us because it's so natural and normal that we don't see it as anything unique.
Well, that's just it. And it starts becoming, oh gosh, what was it? It's like a frequency that you carry. Mm-hmm. And it almost like it's the vibe you send out. Like when they say, I feel your vibe, it's the same idea. So it's like it's all these mirrors being reflected back on you. So if you feel that way, then that's what you're going to get back. I totally, I do get it. I even said that there's a worthiness issue in this world, and our ego we need to integrate this and have heart openings. And doing that means tapping in and finding out what your purpose is. We all have a purpose. We actually signed a soul's contract when we came into this 3D earth. But that's and that's why, when I read the Firefly Moment, I just visualized, I'm like, it's like the inner spark. I think of brownies as well, like Girl Guides, they had the sparks, they had the brownies. I don't know what the other ones were, but same idea. Like they were, if you think about it, they were molding you to find your inner spark.
Totally. And it's so funny. Are you familiar with Neil Donald Walsh?
Yes.
Conversations with God. It's funny, when I thought of the Firefly Moment, I call that time, they were my Neil Donald Walsh moments, is the way that I thought of it. Because it was like right when I was beginning my coaching practice, and I'd wake up at 3 a.m. with just these different ideas. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm definitely going to remember this when I wake up in the morning. I'm just so tired, I'm going to go back to sleep. And of course, then I wasn't remembering it. And so then I started a practice where I started just taking notes in my phone and writing them in the middle of the night when I was getting these ideas. Like Neil Donald Walsh, when he would get these ideas, when he was writing Conversations with God, and then he'd have to write it down, otherwise he couldn't go back to sleep.
I do that with my dreams. It's the same idea for me. I mean, it could be an inspiration. It could be, God talking to you, whatever it is, writing it down. I have my moments where I'm just continually writing as well. And then I have my moments where I'm continually reading. So I think those are just phases of life and learning, because you have to integrate it. And then you're like, okay, I'm ready for the next step or the next level or whatever it happens to be. So, all right. I just want to say hello, or Terry's letting us know she's in Delaware. Hello.
I'm a Philly girl.
Hi. Nice. There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. And Alyssa, she's in Saskatchewan, a neighbor of mine. So, and Mary, hi Mary, so nice to see you. And Marg, she found me. I was on Facebook, so I'm not sure. Maybe she was having trouble finding the video or finding us, but you made it. So maybe hit the subscribe button on YouTube, or like me on Facebook, and then never miss another time we go live. All right. So I just want to go back to the salon. Like that was a family. How did they react to you leaving?
It's complicated. Things had kind of reached an end, and it was kind of starting to unravel a little bit. And so there were 4 of us. It was me, my mom, my dad, and my sister. And we spent an awful lot of time together. And so after that kind of came apart, I told them that, like, I need a little bit of space to get my life back on track and figure out where I want to go. And really, it was really important for me to just really, again, connect to myself. And this kind of segues into something that I tell people a lot of times to my clients, where if you have some sort of a dream or you're trying to figure it out and you're in the beginning stages of it, I recommend that you treat your dream like a baby. When you imagine a baby, it's fragile, it's new, it can't really be exposed to a lot of things because it's very delicate. And to just be aware of who you can tell what to. And it doesn't mean you necessarily have to like completely cut people off if that's not the right thing, but to just to be careful, to give your dream a chance to grow legs, be able to stand on its own and to be able to develop. But in the beginning, it can be a little bit delicate. And so sometimes it's just good to create that awareness, I think, of who's supportive and who's not supportive, and who's safe, so to speak, and who's not.
Yes, that's observing, definitely being the observer. And there's a part on your website talking about the little girl. The little girl knew what was up.
Yeah.
So when I think of that, I think of inner child, and there's a lot of inner child work going on with some of the groups that I'm involved in. And how did that happen for you? I mean, like, did that come in waves, or
which part? The little girl part?
Yeah. Where was your moment, I guess, where you're like, yeah.
Well, so my moment, I've always done some version of personal growth work, always. I mean, it's just been a huge part of who I am. And for some reason, maybe it's because I'm meant to be doing this work, which I deeply feel in my bones. It's like I'm finally there where I'm doing what I'm here to be doing. I deeply believe that. But I never could really pinpoint it exactly. But I remember there was one time when I was in high school. I think I was probably, I feel like I was a junior in high school. And I remember I was like, oh, I want to be a therapist. And so I remember going into the kitchen. I remember it was a Sunday afternoon and my mom was washing dishes. And I was like, guess what? I'm like, I want to be a therapist when I grow up. That's what I want to do. And then she was just like, oh, there's so many therapists out there. You'll never be able to make money doing that. And there are too many people doing the same thing out there. And I was like, oh, okay. I was always the little girl who, I just kind of did what my parents said. like, like, don't do drugs. Okay. Just whatever it was. I mean, just always following the rules. And so it just became a no to me. But at the same time, on looking back, it's like anytime, even if I had any other job, even in corporate, my favorite moments were the times when I would have one-on-one conversations with, whether if it was a client, if it was one of my colleagues. I mean, even now, even with my friendships, my favorite thing to do is to go out to dinner, maybe with one friend, and just really dig into stuff and just talk real talk. And so it was obvious all along. And in hindsight, I'm like, oh yeah, of course. But it was a little bit hard to wade out of that and really pinpoint and figure it out.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey guys, you're watching. Let us know what did you guys want to be when you grew up? As a child, as a little girl, what did you love doing? And did anybody come along? I just see it as soul crushing when they say that. With my son, I always, I called him my little star, but anything he was interested in, I was interested in. I so supported that and nourished it, because same thing. I was, been told, no, you can't do that. You can't do this. Like just, and now absolutely, you absolutely can. You just need to have someone in your corner.
Yeah.
Like Denise, that will help you. Find your way.
For sure. And this is the thing too, to everybody who's listening. It's like, I think people, and I used to feel this way too. I think a lot of people think that, a witch, I see that.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that they have to go from one job and literally like the next day be into a whole new career. But that's not really the way it has to necessarily work. With some people, it works out that way. But there are a lot of different routes that one can take, including just taking baby steps, maybe having a side hustle. Sometimes I'll even take people and put them into an interim job when they're in a really toxic work environment, just so they can regain their energy, get their feet back under them, and still be making money as they're trying to figure out what they want to do or start building what it is they want to do. So my point is, it is possible, and there are a lot of ways to do it.
Yeah, I really like that interim. It's almost like a volunteer, just to kind of test the waters out. And yeah, get your confidence back, because that's what happens when you're buried under all this stuff,
Yeah.
right?
For sure. And when you think about it too, like imagine if anyone right now is in the same kind of situation. If you're working at a job and you're really miserable, you're not happy with your work, and just think about how draining that is. And the thing is, when you have some sort of an energy leak like that in your life, it doesn't just affect your work life. Think about when you go home, if you have a partner, how it is that you communicate with him or her. Or if you have children, how you interact with them. Do you want to go to the gym afterward or go to an exercise class? Probably not. You probably don't have the energy. What are you choosing for dinner? Is it something healthy, or is it just something like comfort food to make you feel better? So it bleeds into every area of your life. And so if you can remove yourself or set boundaries to just really protect your energy in that kind of a way, it just allows you to fill yourself back up again with the energy that you need to intentionally use that energy towards something you want to create, instead of having it just leaking all over the place and trying to put out fires and deal with messes and less than ideal situations.
Yeah, no, I love that. Leaking and intention. Yeah. Alyssa, a marine biologist. Ooh, I love that. That's amazing. Gonna have to get you near an ocean though, my dear. Hi, Tanya. So nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. And Leanne, you're taken on the road. She's a bit of a jokester. Might work for dating. Interim person might work for dating. Well, hey, like one of my mentors said, test. Have a time period, have a trial period on everything, including relationships. So there is something to that, right?
Yeah. And to that point, that's something that I did at one point in my last corporate job that I had, exactly to your point, Christine, where I was so really deeply unhappy and it was a bad situation. And so what I ended up doing, and I recommend this for some people too, I was like, all right, I'm like, what happens? Am I doing my best here? And what would happen if I set a deadline for myself and I'll actually pick a date on the calendar and I'll actually, well, nowadays with our smartphones, back then we didn't have them, but I'll actually have people mark it a date on their phone and just say, what if I, between now and then, give 110%? And that way, I'm really big on leaving no stone unturned, so you can't go back with any regrets. And this does apply to dating too, right? You don't want to go back and be like, oh, but what if I did this? What if I tried that? Would things have been different? And then you're beating yourself up over it. But, give yourself a time limit. Like maybe it's 3 months, maybe it's 6 months, where you're like, I'm going to give it my all and let's just see what happens. And so when that date comes up, you're at the very least aware of how much time you've already invested in giving your best. And then you can decide from that place, like, wow, what's changed over the last 3 months, over the last 6 months? Am I still in this place? Have things gotten better or not? It's a reality check.
And it's also really great for anyone with maybe a bit of depression or low self-worth, for procrastination. I used to suffer from that. And if you put it on the calendar and you put it out there, guess what? You're showing up. This is go time. There's no more comfort zone. You need more ways to be uncomfortable.
Yes.
Because that's how we learn and grow.
For sure.
That's why we're here. Terry, she was, when I first launched one of my programs, I call her my little guinea pig, but she was my test subject. And her job was miserable. She got laid off, and now it's a volunteer work with women in recovery. And now I know she's doing trauma work. She's working with yoga, practices for trauma, because there's a lot of trauma in this world that has not been healed yet. So 100%. Thank you for your work. Thank you so much. And Tanya she said she wanted to be a singer, and she is. Well, good for you. She's working towards her first single release. That's amazing. Congrats. We can't wait to hear it. Please share with us, okay? I love music.
Oh, me too.
Any kind, really. And Lynn, our fellow lovely bead maker from Manitoba, and she wants to be, or she's going to be, an animal communicator and healer.
Oh, I love that.
Got you on notice there, Lynn. So. All right. So I guess what's your, because I noticed on the website, like you start with a client, you get them to fill out, the paperwork. So how long is the coaching, and what are your steps, or is it individual, depending on the person or their, the time frame that they have? I figure people have a little more time now, but
it depends. So where can I start with that? So first of all, just the skeleton that I have for my coaching program, it's the exit strategy method. And so basically what I do is I help women create and execute their corporate exit strategy so they can finally do work that they love, meaningful work that they love. And so the first phase of that is called plan. So basically it's letting yourself dream. It's just it's reconnecting to yourself. So a lot of this, it looks like it's external work, and for sure it is, but the external changes when you make the internal changes. And so I do something called learning your intuition's language, which that's one of the core pieces of what it is that I do, with really tapping into your intuition, understanding what it feels like in your body when your intuition is talking to you, and then learning to trust what it's telling you and feel safe with taking the actions that it's telling you. And then as you start doing that, seeing that your intuition will speak louder and louder to you, and that, yes, it does lead you to the right place as you start taking action on that. We do work with tapping into what's important to you. What are your core values? What's your definitions of happiness and success? And then once we kind of start feeling around, of course, as this happens, a lot of things start opening up and people start getting more clear. I also do something in the beginning, which is it's energy work. It's something. There's an assessment called the Energy Leadership Index, and I'll try and quickly summarize it. But
sure, yeah.
It's based on the idea that there are 7 different levels of energy or levels of consciousness, and so basically, it goes from catabolic levels of energy, which are really stressful and heavy, and then it goes up to anabolic levels, which is like really open and in flow and creative. So for instance, level 1 is the victim, and that's when you're feeling stressed, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling like you're kind of helpless to what's going on around you, like you don't have much control. The level 2 is the fighter, which is when you're just like really angry and really pissed off and want to take action. And then it goes all the way up to level 7, which basically is the level of manifestation, when you're just able to manifest whatever you want as quickly as you want. It's kind of like popping into moments of being in an enlightened kind of a place. So basically what we do is we take this assessment, and then by doing that, the client gets to see and feel what each level looks and feels like, and what the thoughts are that you have when you're at each one of these levels, so that you can identify which one you're in just in a regular situation. And it shows you where you normally are in regular circumstances, and then also where you go to in times of stress. So I'm bringing this all up because it's such a key piece of what it is that I do with people, because it just creates a common language for us. And I love what someone had said earlier. Here, it was about, she was at a toxic workplace, but then she was doing work with women, I think at a women's shelter, and that's what really put me through. And that's one of the things. It's like when we're doing that assessment, for instance, and we kind of get a feel, the client gets a feel for what it's like when you're at those higher levels of energy, we start identifying, okay, now that you're in that place and you're feeling what that feels like, what are other things you do that take you to this space of feeling this way, so that when you're in those lower levels of energy and you're feeling depressed or anxious, then you can go to those things, to do those things to help bring your energy up a little bit and raise your consciousness level a little bit. So I can really start talking when you get me talking, but
I just see it as, like a Kundalini practice, or, I work with Reiki as well, like going through all the chakras. It's the same idea, like levels, you're raising your vibration as you have these epiphany moments, and you're making connections to your body, your mind, and your spirit, and finding more ways to find your center, your balance, versus being all over the place and just wild. I get it. I do. I love it.
It's exactly it. And I love, Terry, I think you were the one who said, actually,
yes,
the one who works with or did work with the women's volunteering with women. But yeah, it's all about reconnecting to ourselves, and again, to our intuition, and making what I call unapologetically authentic decisions, ones that are true to you, not to what society says, not to what your friends will accept or not accept, but really start making decisions from that place. And this ties into one of my other favorite quotes. It's by Joseph Campbell.
Yes.
And I'm kind of paraphrasing a little bit, but basically what he said is, if you think you can see your path laid out in front of you step by step, that's not your path that you're seeing. That's someone else's path that they've already walked. Because your path you create it as you walk it step by step. And I love taking that analogy a little farther even and imagining like you're on a trail and it's nighttime and you're in the middle of the woods and all you have with you is a flashlight. And so you don't know, there might be like a field of flowers coming up on the right-hand side, but you don't know because it's dark out. There could be some sort of a waterfall coming up on the left, but you can't see it yet. But you have your flashlight, you know you're on a path. And when you think about it, the flashlight's going to illuminate the next step, maybe the next 2 steps that you take. Then as you take that step, the flashlight's beam will also shine ahead to show you the step after that. And so this is the process of creating, start to create an authentic life for yourself, one that's really resonates with who you are. And this is, and as you start taking these actions and just paying attention to the little like ping, 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 like the fireflies, I guess, that call to you, and just start chasing that curiosity, this is really how you do it, whether it's career, whether it's just anything for your life, that you start building a life that you really love and that's true to really who you are.
Yeah, just feel it. Your heart knows.
Yeah.
You follow your heart. And of course, the ego wants to get in there and go, well, you took 2 steps forward, you took 10 back. It's like, give me a break. Anyways, Leanne is saying she's working on an application to join a coven at 51. Good for you. And she is getting into jewelry too. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Nice. And then she's just saying that she loves Tanya's picture. But yeah, it's, when I first started, I thought, oh yeah, I'm just going to preach and tell people what to do. And now I know I'm, like you said, the flashlight. I'm just a light.
Right.
I'm a guide.
Yes.
You have to find your way, but I give you inspiration, or you find your epiphanies, your aha moments, your firefly moments.
Yep.
It's the same idea.
Yeah. And it's amazing, or it's so beautiful too. I think just the imagery of the firefly as well, just because it's, when you think about it, it's like each one of them has a light within inside of themselves that they shine externally. And that's how they actually communicate with each other, is by signals that they make with the lights going on and off. And something else that's really fascinating too is that fireflies, they're actually around during the day as well. They're not just around at night. They're there during the day. They're buried in the grass and we don't really see them. So it's like they're just living their lives, doing their thing. But it's when they come out and they share their light that we really are like, wow, there you are. I see you.
Nice. I didn't know that about fireflies. Very cool.
I did some research. I thought of it because it was
no way. Research. And Leanne, she's our fellow comedian. She thinks of that erratic stuff like playing pool. Are you taking a shot or just wildly stabbing the pool cue, hoping you land one of the balls, like the shots? That's funny. Thanks for sharing that, Leanne.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people are just saying, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And fireflies are amazing, and they are amazing to watch. That's for sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
And it's interesting too because now I'm an East Coast girl. We used to call them lightning bugs, but back in Philly. But now that I moved here, there are apparently no fireflies that actually share their light west of Kansas. So I'm west of Kansas now. So now when I'm here, I have to actually ask people, have you ever seen a firefly before? Because not everybody has. But isn't that interesting?
That is. I did not know that either. Mind blown.
I know. I was kind of surprised too, because for me, it was such a hallmark of summer. Summer's here. Here are the fireflies. And so to that point, I'll ask people sometimes, like, do you remember if you've seen them? Like, what is the feeling that you get when you imagine it's dusk, it's a balmy summer evening, and you look out your window and you see the little lights going off right around as sun is setting? What are you feeling? And different people say different things. Some people say, oh, I feel totally at peace. Or someone says, wow, I just feel so excited and energized, and where I feel just like it's magical and I'm in awe. And the feeling that they get at that time, the feeling that they get when they see a firefly, it's the same feeling when they have one of these firefly moments, when they're really connecting to some sort of an inner truth and inner wisdom, a piece of themselves that they haven't seen before. That's a part of their gift and a part of who they are and a part of their purpose. And when they connect to that, it's like they have the same feeling. It's fascinating.
Yeah, and the feeling, that's what we've got so away from, is shutting down our emotions
Mm-hmm.
or numbing ourselves.
Yeah.
We need more of that, feeling this. How does that make you feel? Oh, I feel beautiful. It feels magical. That's Go with that. That's going to be your mantra. That's going to be your affirmation. That's who you are. Like
Yes.
stuff like that. Not I'm not this and I'm not that. No, you're all of it and
Yeah.
then some. So shine on, sister.
Oh,
Shine on.
yeah.
Leanne says she has never seen them.
Where- I'm
Okay.
curious, Leanne, where do you live? Do you live west of, do you live west?
I have to go back. I'm trying to remember where she's from.
Mhm.
Gosh. Yeah, no, she actually, I don't know where she's from. She'll have to tell us.
Yeah.
And Tanya's just saying it's the best feeling ever, especially when you follow them and they all surround you.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know about, I'm going to ask you, what animal do you normally see? Like, was it the firefly? For me, it's a dragonfly. I see those all the time and they land on me. Anyways, that's a whole nother story. So,
That's fascinating. I have actually never, and I'm such an animal person. I have 3 cats. I'm a vegetarian. I love animals, but I'm like, what animal do I see a lot? I've been seeing a lot of crows out here,
okay.
and a lot of butterflies. Um,
Butterflies. Yeah, those are messages like from spirit, or they could be your spirit animal. But honestly, I need to do a show about that. So,
Ooh, yeah, that would be
and
good.
there's lots of meanings. Like if you follow Colette Baron Reed,
Yeah.
she has, signs, symbols for all that stuff. So go check her out. I love her.
Um,
Her story's amazing. Leanne, a fellow Edmontonian. That's that's a first. Thank you so much for being here. Is there anything else you want to share before we wrap up? If anybody has any other questions, even if it's on the replay, feel free to ask. And then we'll leave your contact information if people want to get a hold of you, check out your
yeah.
website.
Yeah, so I guess the one thing, and this kind of piggybacks on something you were saying, Christine, too, about how, about really tapping into our feelings, is that I just think that in our society, especially, a lot of people, we've really become focused on making a lot of decisions from our brains, from our minds. And we've become so disconnected from who we are and what our intuition is telling us and what our gut is telling us. And so a lot of times people want to make some sort of a change, but they really don't know because they're so disconnected from who they are. And so, and then once you do that and you allow yourself to go there and feel courageous enough and honest with yourself enough to be able to go into that place where you let yourself see the things that you might not have wanted to see before, or just opening up and just being curious. And I remember we used to do this at one of my marketing departments, is when we would brainstorm. It's like you come up with all the ideas, but don't judge yourself. Don't like say, no, I can't do that. That would never work. Don't even let yourself go there first. First, you do the brainstorming and let everything come up. And that's one of the first steps. And then when you start seeing those things, see what's drawing your curiosity and kind of follow that through a little bit. Just take some sort of an action. Watch a YouTube video, read an article, connect with someone maybe who does something that you're really curious about and ask them questions. And this is kind of it. It doesn't have to be just when you're in your 20s or 30s. You can really be any age to do this, because can you imagine being 10 years from now down the line and you're still doing what you're doing now? Will you feel any better at that point? If there's something that you already know that you want to do, will you stop wanting it at that point?
Yeah, and there's no, I'm too old, I'm too this. No, those are just barriers that you put in front of yourself to make you feel safe. No
Totally.
more safety. Come out wherever you are.
Yeah.
Terry's just saying that she had a turtle pop in. And I've done a video on spirit totem and animals, so you might want to check that out on YouTube. So, but I know turtles are very methodical, very meditative. So maybe it's asking for a little bit of meditation there. Leanne, she joins everything that she finds is local. That's awesome. It's always great to support local business. Thank you so much for doing that. And then she had a hare visit and ducks. Her sister had ducks. And 13 goals to work on. And then she's brainstorming the how to get there. That's a lot of goals. What's your thought on that, Denise?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting that you have so many dreams and goals that you want to work on, and I wonder how is that working for you? Do you feel like you're making progress on the goals? And sometimes it can be actually helpful to really identify what's the priority, which one are you most excited about? Would you really love to implement first, and maybe focus on that a little bit? Um,
Mm.
it's hard to just give a blanket statement, but generally speaking, I find that it can be. I hate this expression because, again, as a vegetarian, but they have that expression. It's like, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is like, right,
Yeah, one bite at a time.
one bite at a time. But, if are you feeling overwhelmed by the 13 goals? Is the question.
And it was interesting that it's 13. But
Mhm.
anyways, that's a whole nother topic or discussion, I'm sure.
Mhm.
I'm plugging in your website here. It's the fireflymoment.com. Is that
Yeah.
okay? So I'm
Yep.
putting that in for everybody if they want to get a hold of you. What's the best way? I did leave that and then your email as well, but I guess your social media platform, where's
I'm
the
at the
best place?
Firefly Moment on everything. On Twitter, it's just Firefly Moment because I couldn't type it out. But on Instagram and Facebook, it's the Firefly Moment, and I'm also on LinkedIn under my name, Denise Csaky, Csaky.
Nice. All right. Well, it was so nice of you to join me today. And I know that there's more questions. So, guys, don't be afraid to ask and reach out to Denise. She's here. If you need to reach out to myself, I'm here as well. And I just want to send you guys lots of love, light, blessings. Stay safe, have fun, enjoy, dream. And thank you again, Denise, for sharing your expertise and your energy. I learned so much today, which,
Oh,
it's a beautiful time. Thank you.
thank you. And Christine, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun, and I really enjoyed our conversation. And thanks to everybody else who's watching or will be watching in the future.
Awesome. All right, guys, I'm leaving you with this. Just remember, healing begins where the ego ends.
So good.
Take care.